Now, a lot of you have seen our first look video already live on our channel, and judging by the hype that this bike has created, we've managed to score some very up close and personal time with the brand new KTM 390 Adventure R. So here's covering the most intricate details and stuff that you might not have seen on other pages right here on Acco Drive about the brand new KTM 390 Adventure R. Now let's just start with the way this looks. This dual pod projector LED setup, these LED DRLs, this long tall windshield, it looks lovely. And this beak, this gives it that proper pakka adventure feeling. But there is more cleverness over here. So if you see over here underneath, even the mudguard has grooves, so that when you're going off-roading, there is neat airway to put it through to the radiator so that the engine will not heat up. I mean, KTM is paying so close attention to detail even in these intricate parts. And continuing further, the Dakar Rally bike feel continues with this, especially with this fairing over here, the fuel tank which is extending forwards, and this, well, the KTM Duke, it gets around a 15-liter fuel tank. The KTM engineers over here have said that while there is no official spec figure for it, it is going to be larger than that. So expect a 17.5-liter fuel tank, which should be great because the KTM 390 Duke, well, it gives me around 20 to 22 kilometers when ridden extremely hard, and 25, 26, or even sometimes closer to 30 kilometers when ridden safely. So do the math and you'll have some great range on offer as well. And KTM is not repeating the same mistake that it did with the first Gen 390 Adventure, because this frame, while it might be of a similar kind as the Duke, this is not entirely the same as the Duke. It is definitely different than the Duke. It has a different headstock and different configuration as well. Now, horsepower and torque specs of the engine on the 390 Adventure have not yet been shared, but this is the same 399cc engine that we've seen on the Duke, which makes around 45-46 bhp and 39 Nm. So we don't expect the output figures to change, but what we have spotted on this motorcycle is that it is running a slightly larger rear sprocket. The Duke gets around a 45 teeth sprocket. This has 3 teeth more. Plus, because of the larger rolling circumference of the Adventure, expect the driving performance to be far different as well. It will still be manic, it will still be mental, but it will not be quite as peppy or as lively off the line as the Duke. But the biggest difference will be created by the subframe over here. This will get an aluminium subframe, just like the Duke, but of different styling. It's already covered with this plastic shrouding, and it sort of narrows and tapers towards the tail. What I do like is that KTM pays close attention to the intricate details here again, because for off-roading, they've given this lovely texture over here, which should help you, say, sort of grip the motorcycle rather nicely. And further accentuating its off-road readiness, can you see this long swing arm? This continues to be an aluminium unit, but it's quite long, so expect this bike to be pretty stable as well. An 18-inch rear, a 21-inch front, a proper off-roading feel. Now, if you're considering that whether this is going to be the standard version, no, there is going to be a variant lower than this, which will run with a 19-inch front and a 17-inch rear, which will be slightly more touring road focused. But this is the Adventure R. This is what you pay the bucks for to get that KTM off-road feeling, and boy, are we excited. Moving on, the ergonomics. Now, one of the major criticisms that Indians actually found with the current 390 Adventure was that the seat height was a bit too tall, 855 mm. And sadly, on the Adventure R, that's not gone down. But that's not got to do with the subframe, because the subframe, while it is longer, it is actually lower than what the current 390 ADV is. It is because the suspension travel on both ends has gone up. It is nearly making 220 mm of travel at least at both ends. Plus, the 21-inch front and the 18-inch rear are larger sizes. So overall, the seat height has gone up. Admittedly, on the 1917, it will be lower, consider by around 20 mm, so that will be around 835 mm. But on this, it's 855, and I'm going to hop on. It is a fair tall bike. I am barely tiptoeing here, even though I've got thick-soled shoes, and the bare-toothed claws are center set. You can nicely grip the bike, and this is the off-roading stance. So overall, this should be better when you're going out on trails. Now, while the seat height has remained more or less same on the Adventure R, the ground clearance, well, we expect it to go up. Now, it should be around 220 mm, 20 mm increase in the ground clearance, and KTM engineers have also said that the weight of this motorcycle is going to be more or less same. So 177 to 180 kilos for the standard version, and this version should weigh a couple of kilos more. So under 185 kilos, that makes it nearly 11 to 12 kilos lighter than the Himalayan 450. Now, these are the Maita's dual-purpose knobby tires on the Adventure R 2118, like I said before. And while we don't expect these same tires to make it down to India, one should remember that Maita's is sort of partnered with Rice Motor in India. So perhaps something similar. The trailers, hopefully, that we should see, we've tested them on the Hero X-Pulse as well as the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Well, maybe those might make it on to the 390 Adventure R. And this bike is packing a lot of electronic aids as well, including cruise control. And I'm going to show you how to engage that. Now, from the saddle, you'll get a rally tower setup view of sorts, but with the same TFT screen from the 390 Duke. And in fact, even the switches and the levers are the same as the Duke. What is different, there is only one small button that is different, is this. This is the cruise control button. This will be the first 390 to get cruise control, and amongst the others like the Enduro and the SMCR, those also don't get cruise control. This will be the only bike to get cruise control. So this button to engage it, there are these buttons to change the speeds and maybe reset and set it on the go. So KTM has made it very, very convenient to engage and use this special riding aid. And I just wish that KTM also gave it on the Duke, because this is just a simple toggle and an electronic sort of control method. So how difficult can that be to give it on the Duke? Now, in terms of accessories, this is sort of a kitted up 390 Adventure. So you see this auxiliary fog lamp, that's an accessory. The button for it is right over here. Then there is this engine guard. I don't expect this large engine guard to be there. On the standard bike, it will be a fairly small and simple one. The bash plate over here, the metal bash plate, is an accessory. And also to remember, this USD fork, while the standard one will get only compression and rebound adjustability, this is the W Apex Pro USD fork, which gets preload adjustability as well. So a far more sophisticated setup. These knuckle guards, these are standard ones, but you'll get far better ones in the accessories catalog. And lastly, how can we miss having an Akrapovic exhaust over here? This is also an accessories for the 390 Adventure R. So those are sort of the accessories that you can spot on this motorcycle. Whether or not all of them will make it their way to India remains to be seen. So that is the up close and personal video of the KTM 390 Adventure R. It is coming to India in the first quarter of 2025, starting with the Adventure R and the Adventure X, and then maybe the Enduro. Why they are not getting the SNC? Well, we have a separate video coming soon on that, which is basically a plea to KTM India to get that version as well. Prices for this motorcycle, well, the X, we are expecting it to start at the same price as what the current standard 390 ADV is. So basically that is roughly to be around 3.3 lakh rupees, whereas this Adventure R could be 25,000 rupees more. So 3.5 lakh rupees, which makes it around 50,000 rupees dearer than the Himalayan. Will you pick this or the Himalayan? Do let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget, there is the Aprilia 2RX 457 as well as the BMW F450 GS concept also showcased, which are also set to arrive sometime around later in 2025 and 2026. Which ADV are you most excited for? Do let me know in the comment section below. Our coverage from EICMA continues. Hope you liked our deep dive of the KTM 390 Adventure. Stay tuned and stay subscribed.